What's up, everyone? Before I start, this video is sponsored by D1 Gaming Supplies. I happened to run into them and via them promoting a crazy Magic giveaway. They have 15 days of Magic giveaway. There's 11 days left right now on the 4th, so I guess by the time this goes live, it'll be the 5th. Looks like they have booster boxes they have 4 booster boxes of Amonkhet, or they have many booster boxes of Amonkhet. Modern Masters, they have holiday gift boxes. They're also giving away their Mojo, the best digital life counter, TM copyright, which is like a pretty cool looking energy life counter for Magic the Gathering. It has counters for Infect. You don't have to keep your phone out for the whole time. It has a really small footprint on your playmat. You can flip it so that both people can see the life totals, your Infect counters. You don't have to worry about dice getting knocked over. And it also is good for other games outside of Magic. And they're giving away a huge amount of those as well. So I'm going to leave a link to their Facebook page in the description below. Even if you're not interested in their life counter, boy, at least sign up for their giveaway. Their life counter is hitting Kickstarter, I think, in a few weeks. So this is a good way to promote before their Kickstarter begins. But it looks like they've got KMC Hypermats, Kaladesh gift boxes, Amazon gift cards, just tons of awesome stuff. So check out D1 Gaming Supplies. At least check them out for the giveaway. Thanks for sponsoring this video, and let's get into it. What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from Unsleeved Media, and it occurred to me that with all the hype going on about GP Vegas, I thought I would share a little bit of a list of things that I found over the years in attending many GPs that are important to have with you. A little checklist, if you will. Now, if I missed anything, I would love for the conversation to continue in the comment section down below, because a lot of this stuff is really helpful. And maybe I'll publish like an entire checklist for people where things are must-haves, things are optional. I don't know yet, but let's get into the list. This is 15 things that I think you should consider bringing to any large Magic event. Anything that, in my opinion, would be longer than F&M. So this would be pre-release GPs, PPTQs, RPTQs, whatever the case may be, full day Magic events. You need to consider packing for them. So let's start with the first thing. So first things first is your deck, obviously. It'll be the first thing you pack. But remember, if it's a constructed event, you need to bring your deck, you need to bring your sideboard, you need to double, triple, quad check that you have everything. And if it's a limited event, then you don't really have to worry about it. But if you want to play Magic, you need your Magic card. So it's an easy fit for the number one thing. Number two, I would suggest, is sleeves. Now, I have my my go bag over here, so I'll be able to give you a little visual for each thing. Not that staring at my beautiful face isn't enough of a visual, you know. So if it's a limited event, I would bring at least 100. I know that sounds like a lot, but you may want to play multiple events, and you don't want to de-sleeve after every event. Now, you could play without sleeves. Totally fine. I've done it before, and honestly, like, you know, sleeves are a nicety because it makes your deck easier to shuffle. If you don't want to bring or spend a lot of money on a ton of sleeves, then just make sure you're planning on de-sleeving. Now, even for a constructed event, if you pre-sleeve your constructed deck, you're going to want to bring extra sleeves just in case you get some abnormal wear and tear and you want to replace those sleeves in between rounds. I've read some pretty ticky-tack game loss penalties handed out by some judges based on wear on the sleeves. Now, if you're on, the 15th round or the 10th round, 8th round, you've shuffled your deck a million times. Imagine if you played Modern and you have like fetch lands and you're shuffling. You're going to end up with some bent or some wear, and unscrupulous opponents may point that sort of thing out, and judges will be forced to penalize you for it. Now, another thing that comes with me to every event is going to be some assortment of dice. Whether it's just for your pre-roll die, you bring a die to roll, or you use individual die or separate dice sets like this to denote counters, energy tokens, whatever you may be. Sometimes I bring like these Pokemon dice with me because they have these little symbols on them, and I'll use those as energy symbols. Just know your deck and know what you might want to have on hand. Now, it's also helpful when you play an opponent who doesn't have die and, or tokens, for example. That's another thing on this list. So die, dice, tokens, life counters. I like to bring a set of all relevant tokens for my deck. And then also, if it's a limited event, make sure you have, some of the tokens laying around, 2 or 3 of anything you might come across. So you don't have to worry about finding them or pre-making your own tokens. It just makes life super easy. Number 4 is going to be a life pad. They're usually laying around. I have these that I bring with me because I have a bunch of extra ones. 2 pens or pencils. It's hard to not trust. Check your pens before you bring them. Pencils are even better because you don't have to worry about them drying up. Mechanical pencils, things like that. Or, some of these newfangled life counters, like happen to be mentioned in this video, or there's that whiteboard that you can use text and it restores it in digital. If something like the Mojo digital life counter, the boogie board, I think it's called, or I would just really recommend paper and pen. It doesn't have to be a life counter. Just a notebook and a pencil is at least the bare minimum I would bring. Then I would make sure to bring a playmat. Now, it seems simple. You don't have to have a playmat. But again, it's just one of those things that makes life a little bit easier. And it's on the checklist to make sure you pack it. Now I want to talk about lands. Always bring lands. I can't stress enough that yes, there are lands available, but it's always a madhouse, and every minute you can gain by not having to stand in line, especially in a limited event, is a huge advantage. You can spend another minute deck building or testing or sleeving or whatever, or just mentally preparing for your match. Every one of those tiny advantages, like I said, especially in a limited event, is a huge advantage. I would highly recommend taking it to the next level and bringing a deck box full of pre-sleeved lands. 15 to 20 of each color, all in the sleeves that you will use for your limited decks. So I use these, and my pre-sleeve lands are, of course, the same sleeve. That way, I don't have to screw around waiting in line for lands. Oh, no, there's not blue lands. Oh, there's no islands. Crap, I got to find another box. Meanwhile, my opponents are deck testing, relaxing, taking a moment of zen before the competition, and that will provide you a mental edge. Now, something simple that I recommend bringing. Now, these things are available at the event, but if you've ever been at the event and had to buy a $4 or $5 bottle of water, you're going to wish you had brought some. So bringing things like snacks, like these little bite-sized turkey snacks, if you happen to be an omnivore, or granola bars, things like that. A couple bottles of water. I mean, you don't have to bring a case, but not only will having these things available to you make your day a lot smoother, it's going to save you a ton of money. And to be honest, it's going to be healthier than a lot of things that you're going to find at the convention. Like, yeah, eating a piece of pizza is fine for dinner, or 2 pieces of pizza or chicken tenders. But a long time ago, when I used to compete playing chess, I got into this, and even like Travis Wu will follow the same methodology when he competes, is many small meals. You don't want to eat a big greasy bomb of a meal and then go back and expect to be on your, being sharp mentally. Caffeine's a great thing to have with you. Simple black coffee, 5-hour energy drinks, not too many of them. Things like that I like to bring. But just consider snacks and drinks as something you might want to set aside to bring. Now I want to talk about some of the electronics I like to bring. Things like portable chargers. Huge events are huge at a GP. Just having one of these has saved me so many times. And many times someone will see me. I bought this for like $3 or $4 off Amazon. They're so cheap. And I'll tell you what, there's a lot of downtime. I bring extra batteries for anything that needs batteries. For example, my audio equipment often needs batteries. I bring things like wireless headphones, so I can walk around, listen to my music, or watch videos and not disturb people, or really just be able to hear them well. These events are long. Your cell phone is probably going to die. And having that little charger, now it kind of sucks. It's just another thing you have to carry around. But at the end of the day, I guarantee you at least once you're going to be like, oh, thank goodness. Or someone's going to be like, crap, my cell phone's dead. You're going to be able to be like, hey, I have this charger. Now, as I'm working up the list of all these many things I like to carry with me at a GP, let me talk about what I like to bring to carry it all in. Something as simple as one of these messenger bags that have a lot of pockets in them work great, and you don't have to spend a lot of money. This thing was like $20. You could use something like even one of these hipster little bags, stuff like that. One, it makes carrying everything with you a lot easier. But two, it's a security thing. I don't like filling my pockets with all sorts of expensive things that could fall out. And if you have a bag or a closing backpack, it's something that, after you play your match, boom, put your play mat, put your deck in it, put your whatever, your cell phone, your electronic devices, anything you want, boom, close it, walk away. You're much less likely to leave things behind or to get things stolen, which is a very real thing at large events. Unfortunately, people don't want to talk about it, but it does boggle the mind. However, I can't think of another GP recently where there wasn't a story of someone getting something stolen. Now, I think a lot of people that get things stolen leave it behind and someone takes it. Is it stealing? Yes, but people aren't getting mugged. But if you have a backpack to keep everything nice and tidy, then you don't really have to worry about it as much. Number 9 or 10 I want to talk about is bringing a little bit of cash. Look, if you're going to a GP, I've run into a lot of people who go to GPs that only have enough money to like split a hotel room with 3 or 4 people and then pay the event, and that's okay. But what I would submit is to consider before going to an event like a GP where you're there for several days, make sure you have enough spending cash to have a good time. Make sure you can go out with everybody. Otherwise, you're going to end up feeling left out. Unless you go with a group of people who are also broke, then you can all kick it in the hotel room, and that's also cool. But having cash makes sure that you can buy most anything in case somebody doesn't take credit cards. Don't carry large sums of cash around with you, but just always have some pocket money just in case. Then if you want, here's a small thing, but I always would recommend bringing a couple top loaders. If you're playing in an event, a limited event, and you happen to open, a invocation for Amonkhet, for example, that's worth $200. You want to have a place to put it. I usually bring 3 or 4. That's about it. Another thing I like to tell people to consider bringing is EDH decks. There's a lot of downtime, and if you're not playing in the main event, you can always find an EDH game going on. And having a deck or 2 is a great way to kill time and have fun and not cost anything. There's usually hundreds of places that you can play, 20, 30, 40, 50 empty tables. You can find people playing EDH at any time. You want to make sure you have your deck so you can play. It's simple, but also consider bringing some booster packs. So you can host your own drafts. Sure, you can buy some booster packs when you're there, but you could also buy, get a good deal on a booster box, bring those boosters with you, and have a little sealed event between your friends or a draft amongst your friends. It's not a huge thing, but again, this is something that you can control. You can buy ahead of time, and you can fire it in your hotel room or in the lobby. I played a lot of Cube in lobbies at GPs, or last time I think it was GP Chicago. I happen to have this here too, GP Chicago. We did an original Ravnica draft at like 2 in the morning or something like that in the Hilton lobby. There's a lot of crazy stuff that happens. So if you have room for it, bring in a booster box. Something like Conspiracy or Conspiracy 2 would also be genius. You would be an all-time rock star if you're just sitting around with 4 or 5 people and you're like, hey, check this out. I got a box of Conspiracy. You guys want to draft? $20. But I'm just saying, you can have a lot of fun outside of the convention center if you bring a few things of your own. Now, something else I like to pack, even though I'm an old crotchety turd, is I like to bring things like a 3DS or my PlayStation Vita. Even I play old games, like I'm currently playing Final Fantasy X and X-2 because PlayStation hosts us Vita users and we don't have a lot of games, or Zelda or whatever. and you want to bring the corresponding chargers for these. Just like everything else, make sure if you're bringing video games that you have chargers, because it's unlikely you're going to be able to get one easily. Now, yes, could you go to Best Buy and buy one in whatever these towns are, Walgreens? Probably. But again, this is about prepping. Like, we have GP Vegas. This is, I think, the last time I went. This will be the first time I go to a GP and don't pay for registration. I think that VIP and stuff like that has lost its value. If they start pre-registering my decks for VIP, then I'll do it. But right now I'm playing it by ear. Another thing to consider bringing is trade binders. If you're looking to sell cards, if you can travel reasonably and you want to unload your bulk, these are the places where to do it. If you're driving to a GP and you have, 5Ks full of bulk, that's where you bring it. You bring it to the GP, you find out who's paying the best for the bulk, then you go get your bulk and you sell your bulk. I did that at GP Madison. I paid for my hotel room for the night, and it was great. Bringing some of your, rares that are laying around, that might be worth $1 or $2, that just aren't worth selling on TCG Player, but you can sell to one person. You can sell 100 of them. You can sell 100 or 200, let's say 50-cent rares. Boom. Now you have your dinners paid for the 2 nights of the event. So I always bring my bulk rares with me, and anything that's under $5 that's just not worth my time to sell on TCG Player. It's a great thing to help offset the cost of a GP as well. And one of the last things I started doing is making sure I research who's going to be at the GP, what artists are going to be there, and bringing any artwork you want signed. A lot of times GPs bring in great artists. Jeff Miracola was at the last one. We talked a long time. And, bringing the cards that you want signed or getting a print ahead of time. Now, they'll often have things you can buy there to sign, but if you have a card in your EDH deck, or you have a favorite artwork, or you have anything that's particularly important to you, by planning ahead and making sure you bring it, knowing which artists are going to be there, you're going to maximize your value at that GP again. Now, this is 15 or 16 items that I usually bring with me to every GP outside of my camera equipment, and I would love to hear what you also think is a must-have if you travel to any large Magic the Gathering event down in the comments section down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.